Alright, what is up guys? It is Robert of Gaming With Me, and today I wanted to talk about the industry and prices, and I want to talk about how gaming is cheaper than it ever has been before. I know that may come as a shock for some people because when it comes to stuff like, Nintendo pricing Mario Kart World at $80, oh, the console is $450, and PS5 Pro is $700, and Xbox raised their console price to $700 and plus over that, and you got a handheld PCs at $800, not enough. Yes, technically when it comes to the hardware, they are pretty much higher than they ever been before in terms of that. So access to a game might be a little bit more expensive, but if we're just looking at game prices, I'm not even talking about new games, admittedly. So it comes with a caveat. In the end of the day, I am talking about games that maybe have been out for a while, sales, stuff like that. When it comes to, if you're gaming on a budget, you could do that, absolutely. Like, you could really game on a budget, and sometimes you could game without spending a dime other than, again, attaining either the PC or the console. And by that I'm talking about stuff like the Epic Game Store. I think it's crazy. I think it's nuts that we live in a world where Epic Games gives out a new, or not a new, well, newer, they give out games for free every week. Like, that's crazy to me, and it blows my mind. I wrote this idea years ago before, these other prices have gone, like Mario Kart World and stuff. I just think in general, like, to me, if you aren't wanting to get something day one, like you have to play something day one, if you know how I play games, personally, I'm playing games from like 2022, so from a few years ago that are still, current games. It's just games that are not day one, so I'm not paying day one prices for majority of games. I don't really spend a lot of money on video games in terms of $60, $70, $80. Occasionally, like, yes, this year I bought Split Fiction, Mario Kart World, and Donkey Kong Bonanza all day one. So 3 games at day one. I don't know if I'll buy any other games day one. Maybe Metroid Prime 4 potentially. Maybe I don't know. I'm not sure. But for me, I focus on games within that year that I'm playing, which is 2022. And majority of games that I buy, I mean, legitimately are like at the maximum half price. It's crazy. So if you are someone that feels gaming prices are too high, you don't have to buy it day one. And I get it. Maybe if you're super excited, again, as for me, I was super excited about Split Fiction, Mario Kart World, and Donkey Kong Bonanza, and I bought them day one. It is what it is, and I'm happy with it. It's fine. But in the end of the day, I don't just go out and buy every single game. And a lot of people will buy games and never return to it, never finish it, and then they spend more than they probably should have. And it's the hype, it's the FOMO, it's the fear of missing out, right? And I get it, but as someone who, again, I'm someone who plays probably like 50 games. Well, I'll say like 35 to like 50 to 60 games a year in terms of what I finish. And so yeah, it would be crazy to buy all of those day one but not play it for years later. It would make no sense. Like, I buy these games literally, like, I just bought Need for Speed Unbound. I think on digital it's still $70. I bought it for $10. It's amazing. It's an amazing deal. Something like access to eBay was not around in the early Nintendo era, where it was like the 80s. I think eBay came around 90s, I think late 90s or something like that. So it's like, I think I was looking at it, was like 95. And it still wasn't mainstream like that for probably another decade. I don't really know, but I know for sure it wasn't the same. And to be fair, that people had Blockbuster and stuff, right? So you're able to rent video games there. But it's just buying video games. You didn't have that sort of luxury that we have today with eBay. And that's something that I always tell people to check out eBay. eBay has so many sellers that just, they resell their games, or there's actually new games out there, but they're just a lot cheaper. It's great. I would never really recommend Amazon for the most part, because Amazon a lot of time overprices a lot of their games, which I've noticed. But eBay, if you like physical copies, eBay is there, and it's cheaper than ever before, because literally I actually write down. I'm a very statistics numbers guy. I love like listing all these things, and so I actually write down every game that I buy from whether it be 2022 or whatever, and I write the original price and what I bought it for, and I save so much money. I mean, especially throughout the years, we're the whole calendar year of 2022, which usually is going to last me a few years, is definitely over $1,000. But absolutely, that's a lot of money to save. Like, again, unless you are dying for that new video game, for me, again, I have those ones, like a new 3D Mario game, or from the 3D Mario team, like Donkey Kong Bonanza, a Split Fiction, stuff like that for sure. But I don't really. There's so many games out there that I don't feel the need to. I gotta play this game day one, unless it's like something I am dying for. So for physical games, you got eBay, and again, cheaper than ever before. Absolutely, I don't think there's any question about it. And then if you're only a digital kind of guy, the Steam sales, everyone always talks about it, but like if you go on the Steam sales, we're not talking about even like games from 2022. We're even talking about games that came out the same calendar year, like the literal same year, will be like $10 to $20 off. And you're like, damn, that's crazy. Ubisoft games end up being half price a few months later. And that's no exaggeration. I remember buying Watch Dogs Legion like day one, and then like a couple months later it was half price, and I'm like, that's an incredible deal, and it's a brand new game. Like, we're not talking about I'm playing games from a couple years. I'm talking about a game that came out in the same calendar year. That is incredible. I'm looking at the perspective of someone who's 26. So, I did not live during the Blockbuster era and stuff like that, but I did have something like GameFly. GameFly is a rental service that is still alive that people don't even think about. That is a way to experience brand new games, literally day one, games that just come out. So like Donkey Kong Bonanza, if you don't feel like you want to spend the $70, you could literally order Donkey Kong Bonanza through GameFly and do that, and it's a rental service, so you play it and you beat it, and you give it back or whatever you want to do. People always kind of talk up Xbox Game Pass, and Xbox Game Pass is a great deal if you love, if you're an Xbox guy or if you're on PC. There's plenty of day one Bethesda games on there, day one Microsoft games on there, now day one Call of Duty games on there. For most people, that's a really good method of getting games cheaper. Same thing with GameFly, and I think a lot of people downplay GameFly or just don't think about it anymore. But again, like, that's something that is physical that you could play for any platform. We're talking Switch 2, we're talking PS5, we're talking Xbox Series X and S. Well, not S, X, just the X. And you could get the brand new games day one and play them for a cheaper rate if you don't care about owning your games and keeping it for the end of the time, which, if you watch this channel, you likely do like owning your games, but majority of people, they don't really care about keeping their games 20 years down the road like I am. Like, as you can see, like, most people don't care about that. So they just want to play the game and get through it and stuff. And hey, that's great for GameFly, man. I think GameFly is a huge thing that, again, did not exist back in the 90s and the early 2000s. And I want to go back real quick again to the Epic Games Store. Again, I'll talk a little bit more PC-wise. Again, Steam sales are insane, but the Epic Games Store gives out literally a free game every week. And there's so many that are like generally big. They're like, how the hell they're just giving this away? Again, I'm playing games from 2022, right? I've got multiple games that I was planning on buying, and they just ended up free on Epic Games Store. And I'm not saying free as in PS Plus, which, hey, PS Plus and Nintendo Switch Online, and again, Xbox Live or Xbox Game Pass is also ways to play some games at a cheaper rate. Play a lot of Nintendo classics at a cheaper rate. play a lot of PS Plus games with that, and then same with Game Pass, like I said. But Epic Game Store is different. Epic Games literally gives you the game for free. There's no strings attached. There's nothing, like, literally they just give you the game. You don't have to buy a subscription service. It's nothing. They just give you the game for free. And I'm like, how the hell? And I've done that before. That's how I played Vampire Survivors. That's how I played Sifu. That's how I played Sable. That's how I'm going to play Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. That's how I'm going to play Ghost Runner 2. Like, there's genuine, like, games that right off the bat you're just saving money. It's just free. There's no, like, literally just, hey, we're giving you this game. It blows my mind. We're talking about recent games they just give. It makes no sense to me, really, and they definitely don't make money on that, but somehow they just do that because Fortnite prints money for them. Then you got other services like Humble Bundle. Like, Humble Bundle, man, if you look, I'm like, damn, there's some amazing deals on there. Again, a lot of these either I already own or I'm going to own, or I want to own physical or something. But if you're not in that mindset, which majority of people are not and don't care about, you can get so many great ass games. I remember even on Wii U they did a Humble Bundle for like a bunch of indie games, and you're paying legitimately like $12 for like 7 different games. And I'm not talking about trash. I'm talking about good games from very storied franchises, whether it be some older games, older-ish games from like maybe a gen or two back, like maybe all the Batman games or something. I know they had all the Borderlands games for, I think it was like $12. Every single one. Borderlands 2, Borderlands the pre-sequel, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. It was like, that's crazy. That's an insane deal. And I'm just sitting here, I'm like, yo, someone could experience all those Borderlands games for like $12. That's amazing. It's insane. And then, of course, you also just have games that are lower prices. There are literally $20 games there, $10 games, $5 games, and a lot of them are really good, man. I play a lot of amazing indie games that are just better than games that are priced at $60, $70, and they're, 75% less. It's crazy. And then we're not even thinking about games that are just literally free to play. Like, I love the game Splitgate, and I haven't paid a single dollar to play that game. It's this first-person shooter game that's like Halo mixed with Portal. And yeah, you could get like, buy Battle Pass and cosmetics. I don't deal with anything. I just play the game. And it's free. It is nuts. You can have hours of entertainment with a free game. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. And there's a lot of free-to-play games. Free-to-play games run the damn market nowadays because a lot of people buy battle passes and cosmetics and all that. And that's fine. That's a way to support, the team if you really want to, or just, if you're an addict and you're spending way too much money probably than you should have. But hey, if it ain't hurting you, do your thing. And it's just crazy. You just go and there's just endless amount of those free-to-play games, and a lot of them are really good. Again, people love stuff like Fortnite and Warzone and Genshin Impact, and there's a whole bunch of games that are just like, damn, these are huge games that you can spend countless hours in, and they're just free. They're just free. Yeah, here you go. I mean, they make money. There are a lot of them that don't work out, but there's a lot of them that do work out for the free-to-play models, and you don't have to spend $1. It's insane, and that's stuff that just was not existing, even 15 years ago. It's incredible. It's crazy. And that's why I say games are just cheaper than ever. They're so accessible. There's even stuff like, the charity ones that you get like 1,000 games for a few dollars because you're doing it for charity, and hey, you're doing it for a good cause, and you get a shit ton of games. And so if you're like tight on a budget or something, you could explore your endless amount of games. I've done it where I'm like, oh, I gotta play this game, and then I'm like, oh my god, I have this game. I've already owned this game because I forgot about it, and it was from some Humble Bundle or maybe a charity purchase or something. You're like, that's just crazy. So on the console side, and even technically PC, you could say that to obtain these games, you have to buy a console or something. And yes, that is the higher price to get in. But even then, if you don't care about buying brand new, you could of course always buy a used console, and you could buy a used console on eBay for a hell of a lot cheaper. So yes, if you're out here buying games day one and very likely not finishing it, I'm not calling you out, but there's a very good chance this happening for a lot of people. I'm just saying, you very likely could have bought that game when you actually sat down at a time to focus on it for cheaper. That's just how it works. So yeah, I do think gaming is cheaper than ever. So while people may say, oh, it's more expensive than ever, it depends on how you look at it. I really don't. With all these avenues to get these cheaper games and literally free games, I can't sit here and say, yeah, no, it's so expensive. It's ridiculously expensive now. Sure, again, if you're buying day one, maybe you're spending an extra $10 here and there, but the average person is not buying 10 games a year or something at day one. It's just, they're not, they're just not. And if we're talking about consumer spending, we already know that people like to buy $120 editions of games. Like, the whole games are $70 hasn't really been $70 for quite a while, when so many people purchase $150 versions, $200 collection editions, or just digital deluxe editions, a digital deluxe edition for $90. It's been for literally like a decade at this point. But that's how people spend their money. It is what it is. But I just wanted to argue that point that gaming is more expensive than ever. Just depends on how you do it. If you're smart about it, you could end up spending no money, which is, again, it blows my mind. Honestly, it's crazy. So yeah, I legitimately have spent less money than I do now gaming than I did, again, 10 years ago, because I did buy like all my games day one, and they're still unfinished, a lot of them. So it's just, that's how it is. It is what it is. That's not the biggest of deal. But I just wanted to talk about how there's just so many ways to get games for cheaper. You're a physical guy, you got eBay. You're a digital guy, you got sales, the Steam sales. You got just even eShop sales and stuff. It doesn't happen as often, but right now, I remember, or at least it was like last week. I don't know which week it was, but I saw like, a lot of Nintendo games for like $20 off. People say that don't happen. It happened. Just got to check the eShop. And also, if you care, again, on eBay, you can get Nintendo games that don't go down in price for cheaper on eBay. You can. I'm just saying. So yeah, I just think it's interesting, man. There's so many options to acquire games that they have to compete. They have to compete with different storefronts and different payments and all that the consumer gets some good deals. They get some really good prices. So if you're more of a patient gamer and you, when you're ready to actually sit down and play through a full game, you're likely going to get a discount on your game. And it's pretty damn awesome. And that's what makes gaming cheaper than ever before. So yeah, that'll be it for today. Let me know how do you get cheaper games? Do you go on Steam sales? You go on PSN Plus stores sales and all that, or do you wait for just humble bundles? Do you just play the Epic Game stores for free every week? Because someone literally could just do that and they would be fine. It's pretty crazy. Perhaps one day this whole video will not be the case and we'll be in an all digital future where no one does sales or anything and we're all fucked. Maybe that might happen, I don't know. But as of right now, let's get some deals, man. Let's get some cheaper games. But yeah, that's it. That's my ramble on the gaming industry and prices and how, hey man, gaming is cheaper than ever before. So yeah, peace.
Trapped in my mind all the damn time. Think about the dreams I'm trying to achieve on a time. Every second passing by is another second less in life. I think that's obvious, but it's why I'm always stressed with time. There's a fine line between relaxation, procrastination. I hate seeing my phone screen time, seeing hours wasted. Some may say everything I do is a waste.